Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my Eastern White Cedar that I bought from Connor last year. This tree is a collected tree, and Connor did the initial styling at a club meeting, and then in January I did another styling, and my intention is to grow this as a root over rock planting, and the tree will be reminiscent of those ancient cedars that are growing at Rattlesnake Point. Here's another one growing right out of the rocks there.
Look at that.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's a big tree right there.
That is, isn't it?
That's a monster.
It's going skyward.
It's got some girth to it.
Yeah. Here's another view of that same tree. You can see the roots down here. Wow. Look at that tree. Wow. So there's one where the center trunk died and then the branches took over as multiple trunks. So it's sort of like a cathedral style. Very interesting. It's a Rattlesnake Point style. There's a group of trees down here. Sort of a clump style grove. Some of these lower branches are really thick on them. Some good examples of root over rock here. And deadwood. Some really thick ones growing out of rocks here. The roots must go down into crevices between the rocks, and yeah, it's a pretty big tree. Wow. Not just root over rock, but dead root over rock.
Yeah.
That is
Just all of these.
That is
even right
amazing.
behind, even right here. Look at this.
Oh yeah.
Look at this right here behind Toby.
Look at this one here.
Look at that, clinging to that rock.
Yeah. Wow. And look down. Don't look down. What's that movie? Don't Look Up. This is Don't Look Down.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing, isn't it? I like the idea of dead roots like that. I'm definitely going to do that. Thicken up the roots.
Pick up the roots and let them
kill them
die
off.
naturally.
Yeah, or let them die naturally. That is outstanding. And look how the one root is in the air there, which looks amazing. I'm not going to worry about my roots touching the rock quite so much anymore.
Look at this right here.
Oh, yeah.
This curve right here is phenomenal. There's depth in here. So this is died back. It's hollow. But the movement right there is stunning. Then that one back there. And look at how that hugs the rock.
Yeah. Look at the trail down below, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it gives me the willies.
Don't get too close.
It gives me the willies. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. This is amazing. Wow.
We're not looking back. Look at this one.
Oh. Wow. That is impressive. Now, I notice over here the tree is actually holding the rock face together. If you look right here, how it's separated here.
Yep.
And it's actually holding it kind of together here. Whereas these would have just tumbled down, I think. Oh, wow, that's cool. And then deadwood over in the wind side. And not that high a tree, is it?
No, and it's a little pole because here's this big tree that died off.
Yeah.
New leader. Here's even a subsequent leader.
Yeah.
Right here.
I'm going to be pruning up the tree today, and then in spring I'm going to be planting it over top of a rock. It'll be a root over rock planting, and cedars are really good for creating root over rock plantings. They have a lot of tough, fine roots that'll grip the rock, and it should look quite dramatic in the end. In the last video, I pruned the top apex off the tree using another branch to create a new apex, making the tree more compact. I just cut that tall leader off, and my intention was to carve it down so it heals flush in the future. So let's have a look at that big chop point on the tree now. So in here, you can see right here is where I cut the leader off the tree. And I left a stub because, as I mentioned, I wanted the plumbing to reroute from the main trunk line to the new leader here. I didn't want to kill off this branch, and it didn't. This branch did really, really well. It grew really tall this year. So today I can either carve this stump back, making it look natural, or making a flush cut that will eventually heal over. When I cut that big leader off, my intention was to prune it flush to get kind of a nice flowing twisty trunk line. I don't think there's any point having deadwood back here from the front of the tree, which is about here. You don't see that cut anyway. So any deadwood there, I don't think it would add to the value of the tree. So I'm going to prune it back flush today. The cedars that are growing at Rattlesnake Point generally grow out over the cliff edge, and when they reach the sunlight, they shoot straight up into a tall vertical tree. So I have some good tall vertical leaders coming off the main trunk, so it'll be a slanting trunk, and then it'll go vertical, just like the cedars at Rattlesnake Point. I'm going to begin today by pruning up the tree. That'll give me a better look at this stub that I'm going to carve back. So here I go. I'm going to begin by pruning back all this new growth to make it more compact, and then I'll be able to see all the branches and decide what branches need removing. So here I go. I'll start by pruning up all these new branches back to the first set of fronds on the growth extension. So a lot of these are rocket branches on the tree. This tree grew very rapidly this year because it's in a pond basket. It has lots and lots of vigor, which is good. It'll have lots of stored energy in the tree to get it through the winter, and it should be in good shape for repotting in spring. So I'm beginning the pruning, leaving the branches maybe a little longer than the final pruning will be. Just kind of getting it more compact, and it helps you see what's going on with the tree. I've completed the initial pruning. You can see how much I took off. You can also see the difference between the winter colors on the top versus the bright green underneath. So the tree is much thinner, but it's still quite bushy. So next I'm going to start doing some branch selection. You can see right here, there is a whirl of branches growing from one spot, and they're quite vigorous. I'll also be selecting, you can see all these rocket branches up here, so I'll be selecting which ones I keep, which ones I shorten. My thoughts on the styling is that I want to keep this back branch kind of low, like it's in the shade of the forest, and then the slanting trunk that reaches out towards the sunlight off the edge of the cliff will be the tall vertical part of the tree. Here's a look at the back area of the tree. So I have this as a rocket branch, or trunk line now, growing vertical here. And I want to shorten it. I have some good growth here. So where am I going to prune it to? How low do I go is the question. I'm looking for branches down low on this. I do have some here. So I could prune it back quite hard. A good spot, a new leader, would be this one. It's kind of growing, fanning out from the trunk line. If I go higher, I have some more branching which is also good. It's just how long do I want that vertical section? I don't think I want it very long. I want this back part kind of low and twisty. So I'm going to cut it off here initially. So here I go. Big cut coming up. Like that, taking the top off that branch. My second rocket branch is here. There's a couple here actually. And again, I don't want it growing vertically, so I have a good branch coming out the back so I can take off this whole upper part here. So here I go. Taking the top off that, keeping this a low spreading branch rather than a tall vertical one. Now I've got to look and see what I've got left here. So let's go to the front view. I have this branch kind of coming out the front here. And it kind of, if I took that away, I'd have like the main tree here and then this side branch and an empty space here. And I'm not sure I want that empty space. I kind of want it, filled in a little more. So I think on this one, I'm going to prune off all these rocket branches on the top and keep these spreading branches. So I'll start with this cut here, like that, taking the tip off. And then I've got a branch growing back in towards the center of the tree. I'll take that off. So everything's fanning out now. I'll shorten this branch back. That. I can shorten. I think I can take this whole end off this branch. It's just too vigorous. Like that. And then I've got one coming out here that's quite vigorous. I'll take the tip off and prune it back. Like that. And I'll take the tip off this one. Like that. That gets that branch kind of nice and compact. Now I have this branch here which is really, really vigorous. So I think on this one, I've got a branch going straight up from the top of the branch. I'll take that one off. Like that. And then I'll keep this cascading part and prune this part off. And then I'll prune the cascading part back, making it a little more compact, like that. And I got some branch here. Prune that one back too. So this branch is improving now. I can prune this one back more, and I can prune this one back. That. That gets this part of the tree looking quite good. Better prune off this vertical part there and shorten this one back. Like that. That's looking good. Now that vertical trunk line here that I pruned off, I'm going to make it more compact. On this branch you can see where I cut the vertical part off here. I've got a branch kind of growing in towards the other part of the tree. I'm going to take that off. I've got too many branches going from one spot here. And here is the tip here. I'll prune it back, making it more compact. This one that comes from the other branch. That can be pruned off. Giving this one a bit of light. This one growing in the inside here I'll take off. And there's a new shoot here I'm going to prune back. Just giving these branches light. I don't want them shaded out. And this one I've got, I think I need to take this thicker branch off here, giving the other branch a little more room. Like that. Okay, that's looking good, this area. So that's got this branch pruned up, this vertical one pruned up. Now I've got this part here. I think I'd better prune it back further to here. And then I'll prune the vertical tip off. And then I'll make this just a bit more compact, like that. Prune this one back. Pinch the tips. Well, that's got that branch pruned up. Now I've got this one out the back here. I'll take off these branches growing on the inside here. I've got a vertical one here I can take off. I can prune this one back. Prune the tips back. There's a vertical shoot here that I don't want. Well, I'll keep it, but I'll prune it back nice and compact. And then I've got this branch coming out the back. I'm going to prune it off to here, here, here. Making it more compact, like that. That's looking good. Next, I have this branch growing up here. I think it's going vertical. So again, I want to keep it compact, so I'm going to prune off this vertical tip here. Like that. There's one growing to the inside here I'll take out. And I'll prune the vertical part off there. I think that's got that branch pruned up. And then I have another one here. And again, I have a vertical section I'll take off. I'll prune this one back a bit more compact to there. And this one, I'll take it back to here. And a bit of tip pruning. You could pinch these, but I'm scissor pruning them. Doesn't really matter. These ones I'll pinch. So now you can see that this whole back branch here is low and compact, more spreading, not growing upright and vertical. So let's have a look at the tree from the front now. I'll rotate the tree around to the front right here, and let's just look at that back branch. Let's see how it's looking. Well, it's kind of just a low branch in the background. You can't really see much of it at the moment, but eventually you will. So next I'm going to tackle the front part of the tree. So I'm looking at the front of the tree now. I'm just looking to see if I have any branches coming straight out the front. I don't, which is good. They're all kind of going left and right. So let's start with the height of the tree. I've got 2 rocket branches growing straight up here. I need to pick one as my center leader. I could have 2, but I think most of the cedars on Rattlesnake Point have a single trunk line going up. Not all of them. Some have doubles, but I'm just seeing where that double one comes out from the trunk back behind. I can definitely prune the apex back to this as the new leader if I want to keep it that tall. So I'll start there. I'll prune this back to here, like that, reducing the height. And then this back trunk, if I keep it, I'm just trying to see if there's a good branch kind of going a nice direction for a new leader on that one. And ideally I'd want something kind of growing out to the side here. I've got one to the back, I've got one that's too high up here, and then I've got one sticking straight out the front. So I don't think I have a good branch on that. I think I'm going to remove it totally. Let me show you that point. So here is the second trunk line. It comes off the back of the tree. I have some other branches in that area, and I don't really have anything. This one comes straight out the back, this one straight out the front, this one almost straight out the back. So I'm going to remove that. I just don't see a good place to prune it back shorter, so it's going to come off. So here I go, coming in here and removing that vertical trunk line. I'm back out at the front of the tree, and I would like to see the trunk line going up. So I have some very vigorous branches coming off of this side branch here. You can see this one coming out. This one's kind of poking straight out towards the viewer. So I think that one's got to come off. It's too thick to be up that high in the tree. It's more like a trunk line rather than a branch. So I'm going to remove this one. So here I go, like that. I'm going to prune some of these back just so I can see what's going on here a little better. So this branch coming out here, coming out the front, it's kind of hanging down, blocking my view of these branches back here. I'd like to shorten it, and I have a good branch here that I could shorten it to. So I'm going to remove this whole straight lower section. So here I go, like that. That opens this area up a bit. I've got a hanging branch here. I'm going to reduce back. And here. This one can be reduced back. And this hanging branch, that one's okay. This one can be reduced back. And I'll reduce this part back too, like that. Now, along the trunk line, I have a hanging branch that comes from this branch in here, and it kind of hits the trunk line, so that needs to be removed totally. It's just not growing in a good place. Well, that's coming off. Now, off of this branch, this horizontal branch coming off here, I've got a vertical rocket branch shooting up, so I'm going to remove that, like that. And then this branch, it's getting quite long, and I have a better branch going from the base of that branch, so I could take that one right off, and I will. It's just getting too long. So I will prune it right back to, I'll take it off, just the tip of it off for starters, like that. Let's see how it looks. Now I have off of this, it's almost a trunk or branch line, I have a vertical rocket branch. I can prune that back at least to here. Taking that tip off, I'll prune this back. Prune this one back. Prune this back. So that's got this kind of side branch under control a bit. It's a little more compact. I think I better take this one back further. Now, if I go up into the leader here, I've got two opposite branches and they're both really strong. On this side, I have a better lower branch that's staggered, so I'm going to remove this one right off at the base here. And it's got a lot of growth coming off of it. So I will prune it right back to here, like that, taking that thick branch off. And then I've got some branches growing off of that point that I'll prune back. And some of these may still come off once I do my final branch selection. Out the back I have a vigorous branch here. I can prune it back. My apex, I think I need to prune it back further. Prune this one back. This one back. Now I've got a really coarse branch here, and it's growing from a funny direction. The trunks cross. So let me show you a shot of that. I pruned away that crossing trunk line. It went in behind here. So you can see the pruning point there. And I cleaned out the apex a bit, making it more compact, getting my branches a little more horizontal. Do a little tip pruning here. I'm going to take off this one on the inside here, and this one. Prune this one back, and this one back, this one back, and this one. Let's have a look from the front now, see what it's looking like. Here is a look at the tree from the front. So you can see my main apex is being reduced back, and I have this large rocket branch coming up from here. It starts on the trunk and then it curves upwards. So I think that needs to be pruned back. I want to keep, this is the tallest point of the tree, so that's all got to be pruned back. That sounds like the zombie apocalypse happening. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to look at this vertical part here now. I don't have any branches on this lower section here. I do have like a double branch here. So I have the one out the front and this one. And I'm thinking of making this one deadwood and just keeping my thinner branch out the front. I think this one is just too powerful. It's competing with the main leader. It's thickened up to the point where it's just looking too thick. So if I make that deadwood, I've got to decide, which parts I keep as deadwood and what I prune away. I am going to take this one little branch off the back here, and this one, just cleaning that area up. There's some bark flaking off here. Get rid of that. Yeah, so I've got to decide, where do I cut it? Do I cut it here, here, way back? And I think on this one, if I keep, a lot of it as deadwood, it kind of competes with the back branch. So I think I need to cut it off fairly short, maybe back to here, and then make that deadwood. keeping it compact, sort of like the same length as this branch here. So I'll come in with the big pruners and remove that branch. So here I go. I'm going to cut that branch off. So I'm going to reach in at the back here. I wanted to prune it off right about here. So here I go. Big cut coming up. Just like that. Here's that big branch I removed. Quite a vigorous one. So now you can see the tree is looking better. This is the apex. This is deadwood back here, and I have this little branch up to the side. So let's prune up that little branch now. I've got a branch coming towards the inside here I'm going to remove. There's another one on the inside here I'll remove. I don't want branches going back towards the main trunk line. And then I've got a vertical section. I have a branch fanning out, and I have a vertical section. So I'm going to remove the vertical section, reducing it back in height to there. So it's a little more subtle. And then I've got some branches kind of growing back here that I'm going to remove. That one, and there's a big one back here, taking that one off. So my new branches are fanning outwards. I'll just prune them back, making them more compact, like that. So that's got that little branch pruned up now. I'm going to come in now and look at all the branch placement on this main trunk line. So here I've got a branch growing out here, and then I've got another one growing in front of it. I'll get rid of that new one. I've got the stub where I removed that second kind of branch here. I think I need to prune that back flush. I think it looks awkward, that area, so I'm going to come in and nibble that away, making that area a little smoother of a transition, so I don't get, a lumpy look to it. Okay, so that helps. Now, I'm looking at the branch placement here, and I'm wondering, do I need this branch? It's kind of growing on top of this one, and I have a strong division of my trunk line here. It's not a bad branch. I think I better keep it. I think it helps fill out the canopy. I'll just shorten it back a bit, like that, and then there's a branch coming off the back of it I'll take off. And just prune it back a little more compact so it's not growing over top of this area of the tree. I'll even take these two little branches off there. Cleaning that branch up. I can even take this one back a bit more. Like that. And I won't pinch the tips on that. I'll keep it vigorous. There's a bit of growth back here. I'll just take out to clean up this area. I better take this one off. Now I have this back branch here, and it's kind of growing up, competing with the leader, so I need to shorten it. And I've got two strong shoots at the base, so I'll take off the long part of it, like that. Keeping that branch compact, I'll prune this one back more compact. And this one more compact. Like that. I'll take the tip off here. I better pinch these ones just a little bit. They're just a bit long. Now I have at the back here, I have a horizontal branch and one that's more vertical. I think in this case I want to keep my more vertical one and prune off this one to avoid that knuckle like that, and then I can prune. I'll leave that one. There's a little branch I can prune off on the inside here. Just cleaning that growth up so it's not so congested. I'll prune this one back. This one needs pruning back. And I think this section coming out the front needs to be removed. Like that. How is it looking now? Well, do I need this branch is the question. I don't think so. I'm going to take it off. Prune these back more compact. Okay, now I have a hanging branch. It comes from the main trunk and hangs down. Do I want to keep that? It's interesting. I'll keep it for now. I don't think it's a problem at the moment. So next I'm going to address this stub here where I pruned off this tall, vigorous part of the trunk line. Here is a look at that stub. I sealed it with rubber cement, so definitely my trunk line lived. It didn't die off, which I was a little worried about when you do, major work to a cedar. You can get, whole trunk lines, sections of it dying back, and there may be a whole dead section on this trunk here because there is a pruning scar down here. So that's something you find out later on as the living veins swell. So my original intention was to make this flush and have it heal over. If I leave a stub here, as I said, it's kind of behind the trunk line. It doesn't really do anything. So I'm going to prune it back flush. So here I go. I'm just going to nibble away at it. And I'm looking for that transition from the dead wood to the live wood. And I can see there's a bit of living tissue over here. And I think I'm getting down into some living tissue here also. So it may be a process of gradual reduction. I'm thinking maybe of stopping here into my living tissue, and then as the tree reroutes all its living veins to the new trunk line, I can prune this back further. I don't think I want to go back any further today. I think I'm getting down into the living part of the tree. Yeah, so I will leave it like that for now, and then each year I'll gradually reduce it, hoping to make it a fairly smooth transition someday. Here is a look at the tree from the front now. The front will be somewhere around this area. This may not be the exact front, but somewhere around here. I think it's looking quite nice. I'll just rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. So here we go around to the right-hand side. Coming around to the back of the tree. Coming around to the left-hand side. And back to the front. I had already cleaned up the clippings from the initial thinning of the tree. So here is what I took off when I actually went in and styled the tree. So some big branches, some medium-sized branches, and a lot of foliage. I don't know what the root system is going to look like on this tree, but there's kind of some of the surface roots there. So it'll be interesting in spring to bare root it and try and get it as a root over rock. I hope it has a good fine root system. We will see. It'll be an exciting time planting it over a rock. I can hardly wait to get it growing over top of a rock. I think it'll be a really cool composition. It's time now for today's updates. My first update for today is my bonsai area. I've got fresh wood chips all in the pathways, which is really nice. Nice to walk on all the way around the greenhouse and even in the back area. Here's the back area with all the new wood chips put down. The next update for today is the Porsche. So it is not going to sit outside for the winter because we have a garage for it. Here we are inside the garage. So it's a 12-foot wide by 20-foot long, and it has a rounded roof which should help it shed snow in the winter. We just got some concrete blocks to put under the legs here, so the legs get screwed to the concrete blocks, and that should hold it in place for those wild winter winds. The covering on the top of the garage isn't tensioned fully yet, so it's a bit floppy at the moment, but that'll get fixed. And then the next big step will be getting the 911 off the trailer and rolled into the garage for the winter. To get the Porsche in the garage means we'll have to work outside on some pretty cold days. We had freezing rain yesterday. Today is just above freezing and there's a cold wind, so I'll have to dress warmly and get it done. That is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.